This conference will now be recorded.
Curtis Woden.
Present, representing volunteer fire departments.
David Ness.
Here from Municipal Police.
Dan Schaefer. Dan Sank. Jeff Vandewater. Rhonda Broadus.
President, Marshall County Communications, representing member at large.
Anna Voss. Cindy Hike.
Here representing Iowa Health and Human Services.
Daniel Brown.
Here, representing Iowa Department of Transportation.
Michael Strausser. Keith Hope.
Present, Iowa Department of Public Safety.
Patrick Gussite.
President, Iowa Department of Corrections.
Blake Derucci.
Present, representing Iowa Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
Jessica Turba.
Present, representing the Iowa Department of Management.
And are there any legislative members on the line or in person?
Senator Jesse Green.
And any others? And we do have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much for everyone's attendance, much appreciated. We will go into approval of today's agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Ness moves.
Second.
Vote second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from October 12th. A motion?
Vote the motion.
Second? Michael, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk report. Ms. Nichols.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We'll get through this pretty quick. The CompT course was held at ILEA. 7 students completed that course. And so that is all of the CommU courses we had scheduled for 2023. We'd just like to thank ILEA for hosting and all of those agencies who hosted throughout the year and have been able to send their employees for those courses. That's really beneficial. Looking to next year, INTD 2024 is scheduled for January 30th. West Des Moines will be hosting. The registration for that will be open next week, I hope. So keep a lookout for that on our website, and then we'll give it to the calendar that the ACT team can send out also. That's always a popular course, so sign up early. Just so you know, 20 cash radios were deployed to Delaware County for a training exercise in October over the summer, and the latter part of this year, we've had deployment of our resources. If you ever need those or they would be beneficial, just know that we have them. A reminder that the SCIP update is ongoing. Those are 2-hour webinars over Teams to discuss the goals and objectives moving forward the next 1 to 3 years. We've completed a number of those calls very successfully with good turnout. And next week, we have a couple more FirstNet and user groups, so please join if you are able. Also, thank you very much for those who filled out that participation survey that's helped lead the discussions. We had a good turnout for that, so I much appreciate those. Just a reminder that that final working day will be February 8th after our in-person meeting here in Adele, where we can bring that all together in an in-person workshop with the team and have our SCIP laid out for the future. Work is continuing on the REM CDP grant is what I'll call it, that Rural Emergency Medical Communications grant we received. No real updates for the group. But our plan is that the RIC 1 committee will have that as an agenda item also. So if people reach out and ask you about information, they can join there, and we will try to keep the group and Region 1 updated on how that's moving along. I will be presenting at IANZA on Friday afternoon with Hannah Short and Unity Point on Isicsb, and then a use case event. And we will also be talking, if we have time, a little bit about that grant too. We only have an hour, so that should be a good presentation and quick for that group. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to report unless there are any questions for me.
Are there any questions for Nichols? Thank you, Haley, appreciate it. 911 council report, Program Manager DeRucci.
Thank you. A couple things that may be of interest to you. This summer, the 911 program implemented what's called the emergency call routing function. It's kind of a key component of NextGen 911. It uses GIS data for geospatial routing. Perfect use case for this would be previously with normal routing. If there's a cell sector tower that is split between two PSAPs, that cell sector can only be directed towards one PSAP. So you kind of have to make a choice of, if the caller originates from that particular sector, which PSAP is it going to go to? ECRF uses GIS data, and it can actually split that so it is routed to the correct PSAP. And we asked our vendor to pull data to see how that was working since the implementation. And in the month of August alone, there were over 1,700 calls more correctly routed to the appropriate PSAP, where it would have been routed to the wrong PSAP otherwise. So not going to pull that every month, probably once a year or so, but just wanted to give you that information that geospatial routing is working and working well. Talked previously that we are doing a pilot project for 911 to 988 transfers. That's been kind of steady state for the last couple months with 3 PSAPs being Blackhawk County, Johnson, and Muscatine. We are looking to actually double that with 3 additional PSAPs. They just all happen to be within Lynn County. So that's our next step, is to add those PSAPs on and go through the protocols and the training and the technical steps to get those transfers live. We did do a survey earlier this summer as well. So after that next expansion, we'll probably be looking to cast even a wider net. And if you indicated that you were interested or very interested in that, be reaching out to add more PSAPs to that capability as well. Also, about a year ago, the 911 program initiated a cyber assessment through CISA. We had our outbrief for that earlier this week. Honestly, it was really a good report. For a good outbrief, the finalized report is forthcoming still. We'll plan to share that fairly wide, put it on our website. There's about 3 recommendations that we will work with PSAPs and within the program to try to make improvements on. We did have 1 training application that the council approved earlier today. That is for Marshall County, and it was the emergency medical dispatch protocols for APCO that were approved. So if anyone is interested in that, get a hold of me, get a hold of Marshall County, and you can get registered for that course. Any questions?
Any questions for Program Manager DeRucci? Thanks, Blake. User Group Committee, Chair Hess.
Good morning. The User Group Committee met on October 19th. Pretty straightforward meeting, and you'll see those applications up for approval later on the agenda. Nothing really special to report.
Great. Thank you, Chair Hess. Any questions for the User Group Committee? Finance Committee, Chair Brown.
Thank you, Chair Bischoff. Finance Committee met on Tuesday and reviewed our financials, and I think it's a 3-pay period month, but otherwise there were no outstanding anomalies or anything else. That'll take questions.
Any questions for Chair Brown? Thanks, Dan. Governance Committee, Chair Ness.
Thanks, Chair. I was unable to attend the skip discussion on the 6th of November, so I'll turn it over to Haley.
Thank you. Yes, so we did have the skip review. It was a really good conversation. This is a team that is doing these webinars, is doing a fantastic job in leading the group through. So it was a very easy 2 hours, and there was good discussion. I won't go over necessarily the goals and objectives that were listed out there, but those will be reviewed again at the workshop. And then just a reminder that there are 2 policies for review, and since the governance committee didn't get to them, if there's still any comments or anybody hasn't had the chance to look at those, please send it, comments or edits to me, and I will take that back to the next governance committee. Also, there is a policy and standard review schedule that will affect all the committees, so I would really encourage you to take a look at that and let me know what you think so I can report that back. But otherwise, nothing else to report.
Are there any questions for the governance committee? Great, thank you, Haley, thank you, Dave. Operations committee, Chair Edson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Bischoff. We met last Wednesday. The policies that Haley just mentioned, we reviewed those and had some good discussion, and we're sending them back to governance now. We also reviewed our skip goals for our next meeting so that we can be prepared for that session. We have nothing else to report.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the operations committee? Training and outreach committee, Chair Solon.
All right, we met on the 26th of November. We're still going over the status board discussion. The script was made. We're still waiting to put that to voice. Once that's done, it will be put up on the website. I know Swift-Nichols was contacted by Pottawatomie County to host a COML, possibly for next fall. I don't know if you mentioned that at all yet. No?
We're looking into it. Might be a state-sponsored.
I was going to mention that. Possibly being a state-sponsored, making the COML a state-sponsored, and would like to make it prior to the COMX class that is hopefully going to be held as well sometime, obviously, after fall. And we also had our skip meeting. My days are run together now. Yesterday, I believe, was about 2 hours. It was actually quite informative, really. I took a lot out of it. I won't go into details, but with our objectives and goals, and realigned a lot of our objectives and goals. And yeah, that's about all I got.
Okay. Are there any questions for training and outreach? That brings us to technology and Chair update.
Thanks. The technology committee met on October 26th. That's the first one. And we continued the discussion on interoperability between Iowa and Minnesota with the crosswalk conversation. Keep it short. We're looking into things from basic patching all the way up to an LTE, LMR type convergence, but it's pretty early on, so we just want to keep those discussions going. No decisions were made. It's one of those things where you really got to know what's going on across those 2 states at that border in order to figure out what's going to be the most effective route. We met on the 7th of November with the skip webinar with CISA, and it's really kind of a wash, rinse, and repeat from what the other committees have done. So I guess they've kind of given the report for me. So, also, the 30-day comment, we're only at 28 days, I believe, on the discipline-specific encryption topic with the conventional channel. So we got 2 days to go. So we'll readdress that at the next meeting.
Fantastic.
That's it. Thanks.
Any questions for technology? Thank you, Dr.
Thanks.
FirstNet Broadband Committee, Chair Benson.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm here. I apologize. I did miss roll call. I was on a phone call this morning. So
No worries.
The FirstNet Broadband Committee will be meeting next week on Tuesday, November 14th. We will have hopefully brief outs from our FirstNet or our FirstNet AT&T partners a little later on in this meeting. If you would like to join our FirstNet Broadband Committee meeting next week, please let me know and we can send those meeting invites out to you. That is all I have.
Great. Are there any questions for FirstNet Broadband? I would just mention a reminder that the SCIP review webinar follows that regularly scheduled FirstNet meeting.
Yes, thank you for that.
Great. That brings us to other reports. Information sharing among the board. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share with the board? And this month I have nothing. This is day 2, 3. I'm not sure, 3, back from vacation. Sorry. I am. Is there anything to share? All right. That brings us to the Isicsb admin report.
Thank you. So we're getting close to wrapping up Isicsb maintenance for the year. We should have approximately 15 sites left. Fayette site is undergoing maintenance this morning. Other than that, we've got O'Brien with a slight tower light problem. We're waiting on parts for that. And that wraps it up for maintenance. As far as Isicsb numbers for October of 23, our radios stand at 34,792. Talk groups are 3,159. And our push to talks last month were 2.7 million. Still haven't cracked the 3 million mark yet. That's all so close. Yes, that's all I had.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ms. admin? Thanks, Scott.
Sure.
FirstNet Authority.
I will provide a quick update for Tom as we are currently at the IAMS event. This is Tyler. Not much to share from the authority side, but we did have some additional macro site additions in October. We had a macro site ad southeast of Dubuque. We had a macro site ad in Davenport. We had an additional ad in Sterling, Illinois, which is technically in the Iowa market, services the Iowa market. And then we also had a site addition in Waterloo, Iowa. I don't have anything else to report.
Great, thank you, Tyler. Are there any questions for AT&T? CISA update, Chris Myers.
Yes, thank you, Chair Bischoff, and good morning, Board. I appreciate the time today, as always. We'll start off this month. November is Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience Month. I will say in the past, Iowa has been very forward-leaning in protecting its networks that are critical to emergency communications. Your 911 network is an example of that with completing a cyber assessment. You had a cyber assessment conducted on Isicsb last year. So Iowa has been very, very much at the forefront of making sure that infrastructure is secured. As a part of November being Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience Month, CISA has released a new Shields Ready campaign that is designed to encourage agencies to look at ways to resolve to be resilient. And what that is geared towards is helping agencies not only recognize but recover quickly from an incident. It's not necessarily a matter of how you can recover from a network interruption or a problem, but how quickly. Because ultimately, the quickness of the recovery affects the availability of those critical networks. CISA wants to encourage agencies to look at their systems and assess their risk and identify the most critical functions, assets, various dependencies, and consider the full range of threats. Iowa is very much on its way of doing that. Make a plan and exercise it. Iowa in the past has looked at their networks and figured out if we have a failure here, how do we fix it? And you have some real world experience with that as well, with the various severe weather events you've had. The derecho of 2020 and 2021 comes to mind. And also to continuously improve and adapt, basically looking at the threat landscape and the changing conditions and preparing for what that may look like going forward. Iowa's done a really good job of that in the past. And CISA looks forward to supporting you as you continue to go throughout that process in the future. On the next slide, I do want to talk about a new product that was recently released from CISA. It is a free, publicly available Windows-based logging solution. And what this is designed to do is it's designed to give those target-rich but cyber-poor agencies a method to log who is accessing their systems, when they're accessing it, and where they're going. Logs will often contain critical information on who is doing what and when, and in the event of an incident, that information can be absolutely vital. However, some small organizations don't have that capability, so this suite is designed towards those organizations that are small, that don't currently have a logging solution that may want to have one. It is also geared towards those agencies that may not have a security operations center, security information and event management solution, or other types of active monitoring functions. It can also be useful if you have small isolated networks that don't necessarily touch others, but you still want to maintain logs of who's accessing that and when. And also if you recognize the value of gathering those logs to kind of look and maybe do occasional audits of who's accessing your systems. This is available at no cost to the agencies. There's no super long sign up or onboarding process. It's just available to agencies that want to use it. That link is available online as well, along with a fact sheet that outlines what it can do and what it will not do for an agency. So you know exactly what it will do for you getting into it. One other thing that was released this month on the next slide, we have a product that's out there for securing healthcare and public health agencies. CISA and the Department of Health and Human Services has released a new cybersecurity toolkit that includes resources that are tailored to help those health and public health organizations reduce their cyber risk. This is big because the health and healthcare industry is one of the most targeted industries by cyber actors, especially ones with malicious intent. So this is a website that has consolidated resources that include cyber hygiene services from CISA to help do some vulnerability scanning. It includes health and human services and health industry cybersecurity best practices so that those practices can be implemented at the state and local level. And it also includes the cybersecurity framework and implementation guide to help organizations with internal assessments and also provide steps to improve cyber resiliency and overall information security and managing privacy risk management and things associated with that. So these new tools are available. They are free as always, as is everything from CISA, and those links are provided to the board in the slide deck, and then also if you want direct links to them, just let me know. Last slide, some regional news of note. The FEMA Region 7 Regional Emergency Communications Coordination Working Group meeting is next week, November 15th to 16th. It is a combined in-person and virtual meeting that will be basically feature 2 days worth of outbriefs from states and tribes, an update from the FEMA Disaster Emergency Communications Group that's based out of Arlington. It'll include some updates from CISA, some of which you may have already heard from me today. And then, of course, an introduction to the Communications ISAC. The Communications ISAC, I think, is one of the more value-added things that will be in the Rec Week this month, as it will give you a contact within the communications commercial industry. Think of your Verizons, your AT&Ts, your Lumens. Typically, they are all members of the Communications ISAC, and if there's an outage, that ISAC is valuable sometimes helping getting services restored. There will also be an update on the Eclipse 2024 preparations. It doesn't necessarily directly affect Iowa, but it's always unique to see what other states are doing to plan for mass gatherings that often occur in rural areas. And then we're going to have a Communications Lifeline workshop and tabletop exercise. For those of you that are not familiar with the Communications Lifelines, those become activated basically when there is a disaster and emergency support function 2, which is communications, is stood up. This is a report that is given to FEMA through emergency management to outline the status of key systems and ultimately help prioritize restoration. There's a certain process that comes with Lifelines reporting, and that will be outlined as a part of this tabletop exercise. It is a no-fault exercise and is designed to be primarily educational. So that is my report for the month, Chair Bischoff. I can go ahead and take any questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Chris? That brings us to old business. Is there any old business that is needing to be discussed? Moving forward to new business, we have new Isicsb user approval. Chair Hutt.
So we have 5 applications up for approval today. The first is the Chariton Community School District, Des Moines Area Community College, the Lynn County Sheriff's Office, which is an update, and then Mercy One in Clinton County, and Unity Point Health Lifeguard Air Ambulance. And I will make a motion to approve all of those user applications.
There's a motion on the floor. I'll entertain a second.
Yes.
Does anyone have any conflicts that would cause us to have a roll call vote? Right, so we'll move forward as a package. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Who motion on those?
Hess and Ness. And we should do that more often. All right, that brings us to the REMCDE working group. Switch Nichols mentioned this. This is the grant that we received for the Rural Emergency Medical Communication Demonstration Program, I think. Program or policy, I'm not sure, I might have the wrong. Project. So cool. So there is a group of 13 individuals that has been put together along with an oversight committee to help manage that grant and move that along. Just want that on record that we've put together a working group to structure, to provide some structure and some guidance for that. Are there any questions regarding that group? It's a cross-section of hospitals, responders. It has been meeting for some time and we're just formalizing that. Are there any questions regarding that group and that grant? I'd entertain a motion to create that work group.
Motion.
Second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have Sean Page, who has achieved some credentials. He's unable to be with us and will be unable to be with us for a few months. So we want to recognize his achievements. He's achieved ComL, ComT, and INTD. So congratulations to Sean. Can we give him a round of applause? And we Great, thank you. That brings us to public comment. Is there any public comment? All right, hearing none, that brings us to adjournment. I'll entertain a motion. Well, first and foremost, thank you for all of your time and attending our meeting and all the work that you've put forth in meetings and such. And special thanks to Senator Green for joining our meeting and helping us with the legislative process. With that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
We can adjourn. Thank you.